It is Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, 7:37 p.m. sharp. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 190th edition of the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I am one of your lovely hosts, the Garlic Johnson. We are joined, as always, by our other lovely hostess, the Joshua Mitchell. Josh, say hi to the folk out there.
Should I say hi like you?
I mean, if you want to be cool. Just like other people who want to be cool, you can interact with us in our Discord server. We appreciate people who chat along and who are stocking players with us. We also, someone else who's really cool is at Levi Oki Illustration on Instagram. And Josh, most importantly, last but certainly the opposite of least, people that are cool would be you, Josh. How are you doing?
Well, I'm here, aren't I? So I'm doing something, I guess. How are you, Gar?
Oh, I'm doing just dandy. It's been about 2 weeks since we last got to chat, and we're also supposed to shout out Walter's wife, whose birthday is tomorrow. I'm sure Nicole will listen to this for sure. So shout out to never listener Nicole. But Josh, since it has been about 2 weeks, anything new or exciting? I know sometimes it's hard in the weekly grind to have any fun updates. So what about 2 weeks elapsed? Anything new, cool or interesting or fun, or maybe not so fun for you?
Well, 2 weeks is a long time to think back. I had softball last night. That was not fun. It was cold out. And Chaz was on his honeymoon already, so we had to rotate some pitchers in. Kyle did good. Brad decided it would be hilarious to put me on the bump for a couple innings, so I went out for one inning. And let's just say that I gave that other team a win. The ump didn't do me any favors. I didn't do myself any favors, but we'll just leave it at that. It was too cold to actually care. But so that was last night. We got Asher's birthday party coming up on Saturday. I also know that half of the people that were invited on my friend group, they're at a wedding. But yeah, Gar, I understand that you've been traveling a bit. You had some weddings and you killed a guy. I don't know.
Yeah, dude, life has been hectic for me. So last time we were podcasting 2 weeks ago, that Tuesday, I'd spent all day in the hospital because of the range of surgery. And then Wednesday was, bring the ranch home, yada, yada. Thursday was drive to Brainerd, rehearsal dinner for T's wedding. Shout out to T, happily married man. And then Friday was the wedding. Saturday, drive home. That Sunday, fly to Vegas. Was in Vegas for a whole week at a big expo for my job. So, that was me busy Monday through Thursday, networking and going to classes and all these different things. Went out to dinner once, got to have a Gordon Ramsay beef Wellington. That was a pretty good experience for me. But very busy week in Vegas. Ooh, go ahead.
This is the casino sending you out there for, were you just looking at the slot machines to see what they do well? And
no, I mean, it was like a trade show. I don't know if you've ever been to a trade show, but it's like all these vendors come out, and there's also an education component. So I did a bunch of educational sessions that were 50 minutes a pop. Certainly, there were a lot of vendors hawking the latest and greatest slot machines, but that is not necessarily my direct department. So I did not spend any time checking out the machines. No.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't know that. I'm sheltered by the county, and they upgraded from Windows 95 when I just before I started working there in 2016. So they're a little bit behind. They may figure out what an expo is in the next 100 years.
Ah, I see. So you guys are now on Windows Vista, the greatest Windows edition.
Yeah. My screen is green and looks like the Matrix. Yeah.
But nice. Yeah, but not that anyone cares. Was in Vegas all week and then came home on Friday and then had a chill. And then Sunday was Megan's wedding. And then this upcoming weekend is Kyle's wedding. And then I got to go out to Wisconsin for that. And so, yeah, there's been a lot going on. And so that's why I was unable to podcast last week because I was literally in Las Vegas. And then, so my life, I've just had a lot going on. And so the podcast was not my highest priority, if I'm being honest. But hopefully,
no, that's fine.
This time next week, all the craziness, 3 weddings and 3 weekends and all the other nonsense. Dad's healing up. He had a doctor's appointment today. So hopefully all the craziness should be mostly subsided by then.
So he's back out doing karate in the garage?
No, not yet. He is taking it nice and slow. He wants to make sure he recovers the good right way. But yeah, he is getting a little stir crazy being stuck mostly upstairs in the house. So I think by the weekend he'll be venturing out into taking some walks around the neighborhood and this and that. But yeah. Also shout out to Megan and Chaz, just as you mentioned, on their honeymoon. Congrats to them on their wedding. It was a super windy day for anyone who was around the area. They got married on Sunday outside, and so they almost blew away. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, it was quite windy. Brad asked me why I didn't go, or he texted me. He's like, "Are you going?" And I was like, "Dude, I wasn't invited. You know that, and I'm not going to accept Nate's invite because I honestly don't think that Nate has that authority."
To invite to his sister's wedding. Yeah, probably not so much. I mean, technically, to Nate's point, their wedding was at an apple orchard that was open to the public, so you could have just shown up. But yeah, it obviously is not quite the same.
Yeah, if it was a nice day and I didn't have a kid it might have been one of those moments where I just show up and I look like just some grungy uncle and wear some short shorts and a tank top and yell, "Yeah, wedding!"
Right.
But then Jesse would have competition, and it's just like, I let Jesse have that spotlight.
Yeah, that's where Jesse shines the best. Anywho, Josh, that's enough about me crying and complaining about all my first world problems. I hope you have fun on Asher's birthday. I did see the invite. I am sorry I won't be able to make it, but...
Yep, no, it's understandable. Bradley laughed right in my face when I handed him the invite and said, "That's Kyle's wedding, idiot."
Did you say it just like that?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe said the first part, but not that last word.
Sure.
But yeah, no, he let me know, so I figured, well, there goes Gar as well, because yeah.
What's the theme for? Do we have? So last year was the tutu or whatever, the twain. What do we have?
The chugga tutu. Yeah, that was last year. This year I believe is Young, Wild, and Three. And it's dinosaur themed.
Hell yeah.
So, yep, I got a shirt that says Daddy Saurus on it and dinosaur. No big deal.
You better put that in the Greasy Fox on Saturday. I tell you what.
Asher's gonna. I tried to push for Asher to wear one of those inflatable dinosaurs all day. So he's just a giant inflatable dinosaur, but that didn't get approved.
Damn, got shot down
didn't
in committee.
Have the funding.
Huh? Yeah. All right, let's move on, Josh. Taco Tuesday. I don't know if we're still doing this or if that was an accident, but...
Oh, no, I think this should be a weekly segment because I've got a very taco move that I noticed in one of the leagues.
Let's hear you talk about it, son. What was the taco move what is a taco move you saw in real or fantasy in real football or fantasy this weekend?
Could you imagine going 6 weeks into a fantasy season with incorrect scoring settings?
Bro, that would be embarrassing.
Well, in your defense, I don't know if defense, because I know defense touchdowns, they've happened, they get counted, but the special teams, I knew that my game was going to be close, even with Dave having no quarterback play, because honestly, the other Taco Tuesday moment that I have is my starting team. My 2 of my 3 wide receivers combined for negative points. And then I had Emmanuel Wilson and Trey Sermon as my starting running backs. So that was not fun. But so I was like, I need every single point ever. And then maybe Garrett Wilson gets the poops and can't play on Monday. So I was like, okay, where's that touchdown? And then I looked at the scoring and I understand what you're saying. It definitely, the fact that they separate that it didn't make sense to me, but whatever. So those were a couple taco moments. Your taco moment is more so just a, thing that is honest mistake. Mine is I'm bad at everything that has to do with fantasy football this year.
Sure. I don't know how much of a taco it is because, it's just one of those things where Monday night player gets ruled out late, but I had James Cook in my starting lineup in Champs branch out, and all my bench players had played, and I think I could have dropped them, but they're pretty much all solid except for I have 2 QBs right now that I don't need, but both had played, and I didn't want to drop Kirk. If I was, it's between dropping Kirk and Geno. I think I'd rather keep Kirk at this point. So I just ran a lineup without a running back. Not that I was going to win anyways, but that was not fun. I don't know how taco that is, but But yeah, I also had a bunch of players from Thursday night in my flexes because, again, I was busy in Vegas and not paying attention. And the Pacific time zone fucks me up as well. But games at 5 o'clock or night games at 5 o'clock is crazy. Anywho.
Yeah. I also beat some scrub team. They had a tackle moment. This team lost to me, and I had two guys combined for negative 0.1. Shout out Walters, you stink.
Oh no.
That number 2 next to your name, I thought it meant before this week ended, I thought it meant you were the number 2 team in the league. It was just letting me know what place you were going to finish in our matchup.
Fucking got him, dude. All right, so those were your taco moments, Josh. Anything else?
Nope. We can move on.
All right, Josh. How salty is ya? Are you like Brad who salts his Chipotle burrito?
Well, let's just say that if you hadn't gone into your reasoning why we didn't have a podcast last week, we probably would have been able to say that I died because I actually got 4 wins last week as opposed to my 3 and 4 for the first 4 weeks. But yeah, so last week I went 4 and 3 with the Joshua Allen Bunker Mitchell Corporated in court intellectual property. I was 22 and 31 last week. This week I came back to 3 and 4. So 5 of the 6 weeks I have finished 3 and 4 against opponents.
Brag about it.
Bringing my total on the year to 19 and 23. For this week, the intellectual property of Joshua Allen Bunker Incorporated, I went 31 and 22. So despite getting 1 less win, I actually had a much better week in that. My overall in that is 173 and 145 for a 54.4 win percentage.
Damn. So how do we feel with so many 3 and 4s? 1, 4, and 3. I won't forget it. But it looks like this fantasy season is a bit of a struggle. It looks like your worst league is the redraft, and then your best league is deflate these balls. How are we feeling? Oh, and your win streak ended, right? So that's tough.
Yep. I think it ended at 17 or 18 consecutive. I will say that is pretty happy. I'm pretty happy about that. But this is the beginning of the downslide. So this is probably going to be where it kind of evens back out and I return to the mean, that sort of thing. So it's going to be the next 18 games is going to be a loss by like a 0.6 or a 1.2 points or, last second kneel down or anything like that is going to be kind of how it's going to even out. Overall in the redraft league, I knew from week 1 that my team was doomed when Chris McCaffrey said that his Achilles has a boo-boo. And so I'm literally just kind of holding out hope. I got another win in that league against the median. I'm just holding that hope that, this Amari Cooper trade helps me out a little bit. Maybe instead of being the receiver with the most uncatchable balls thrown his way at 64%, he actually has an opportunity to catch the passes. Maybe CMC comes back. Maybe Olave, as Foster said in another chat, maybe Olave figures out how to get his head out of his ass so he can play good football again. But yeah, other than that, I'm just trying not to get last.
Proud of you, buddy. Good luck. Moving on to, more importantly, me. People heard me talk a lot about the first 3 weeks about the law of averages and I'm overperforming. Well, Josh, the last 3 weeks have seen a lot of red. Last week, I went 1 and 7. So that's fucking brutal. And this week, I went 4 and 4. So overall, as my records read in the leagues themselves, I'm 24 and 24, a dead even 500. So that's a little bit brutal. Going down to the intellectual property of Joshua Allen Bunker Incorporated. Week 5 was a big fuck you week for me. I would have gone 22 and 66 against every team in every league. So that is just a bleak 23.26 win percentage. Moving on to week 6 was a lot better. I went 50. It was actually my best week of fantasy against every team in every league. I would have gone 57 and 28 for 67.06 win percentage. Overall on the season, I'm just right around that 500. I'm at 301 and 286, which is a 51.28 win percentage. So I'm finally, my top line wins and losses is meeting down with the intellectual property at Joshua Allen Bunker. And we're right at 500, and we do not want to be a 500 fantasy player. So we're hoping I can limp along in some of these leagues and, get some playoff appearances, because right now it looks like we are losing money on this fantasy season. and it is not looking good.
Womp womp. Same here. Moving into the segment that we've grown to kind of just take to fill up time. We're gonna, the dogs and logs, the guys that barking in your lineup, intimidating the others, and then the logs, the ones that you drop and you flush. This week, dogs. I think this might be the highest number we've seen. Chris Godwin, 77% win rate. So if you have him in your lineup, odds are you won. Same with Mixon. He had a high percentage with 68.3. Derrick Henry at 67.3. A.J. Brown in his return to action, 65.2. And then George Kittle with his 2 tutters with 65%. The next 5 without the percentages, Garrett Wilson, Bijan Robinson, Cole Kmet, Baker Mayfield, and Terry McLaurin. Gar, anything stand out there? Anything you want to mention? Do you have any of those players? Did you win? Did you lose?
Chris Godwin was a draft pick of mine for the redraft league. I remember you mocking that at the time. I did avoid Mixon quite a bit and Kittle, so it's tough to see me, avoiding players that were definitely carrying. But I'm happy with Godwin. I believe I only have Godwin in the one league, so it is what it is. But no, Godwin for sure I thought was a good pick, and I'm happy that him and Baker still seem to have some good chemistry. What about you, Josh?
But I asked if you had, did he help you win your matchup this week?
I honestly don't even remember. Let me go look.
Oh yeah, you did. You didn't beat the median.
Yeah, but I won my head-to-head matchup. He sure did help me win.
Okay. So it just turns out that I play the teams that always score a lot. Oh, going back to that message and just a little side production meeting. Most points against gets like $100, don't they?
25. It's up
boy.
$5 from last year.
Well, hell yeah, brother, because I am like 100 points in the lead in that competition. Moving on to the logs, we've got Dak Prescott, who I don't know how he must be eating paint chips with all that money he's making. He was started in 81% of leagues, and he led to a 33% winning. Chris Olave, he had 84% starting. I think he got hurt right after catching the first pass and then fumbling. He only led to a 35.7 win percent. Marvin Harrison, same situation. He was going up against that stat Packers defense. He was started at 97 or 96% of leagues. He only had a 35.7 win percent. James Cook, you weren't alone. Apparently around 50% of teams left him in. And if they did, they only won 35.8% of the time. And then Calvin Ridley was the last one with 55% start and only 36% winning. Yep, Chris Olave. Thank you, Al. Other logs from this week, Jerome Ford, Moss, Etienne, Trey Sermon, and Javonte Williams round out that list. I have a few of those players. I mentioned Olave. I also had Etienne and Trey Sermon. So yeah, it was a fun week.
What's it like being the greatest there is, Josh? Is that tough for you?
Well, I do want to say that I believe if we were studs and duds thing from that we made at the beginning of the year, I'm like 90 for 90. There's just you can't go wrong agreeing with the Mitchell man when it comes to picking duds.
Someone's got to have the crown, Josh, and heavy is the head, but proud of you, buddy. Yep. All right. Anything else on the logs and the dogs?
Nope. I did have time to go through and finish all the side bets that we had initially skipped. I actually have it in the kind of the sheet. I found a bunch more and I added them, and then I just randomly generated and then put the first 14 in there.
Sure.
And so we've got, I can run through it right quick once I get back to the notes. Week 1, we did the most 15 plus point players. That came down to the hammers. I won't give the numbers since I've talked a lot, but week 2 was the biggest drop in points. That was Brad. Week 3, most players to score under 10. And so I believe the title of that one is Cold as Ice. And if there was a tie, I said whoever scored the most points total. So if you had like 8 players score under 10, but you scored the most points of the people that you're tied with, then you win. That goes to Eric. Week 4, Blackjack, closest to 21. That is Jesse. Week 5, biggest loser. So the guy who just missed the median win, that is Brad. And then week 6, tandem rushing, Eric. So we've got 2 people with 2 wins through 6 weeks. So congrats. I hate you both.
Yeah, fuck those guys. Can I kick them from the league?
Please. And then let me pick from their players.
Excellent. But yeah, shout out to Eric and Brad for getting 2 wins each. That's not easy to do. Jesse, I know someone who is similar to me, and his career or his lifetime in side bets is quite low. So seeing Jesse get another win is big for Jesse and big for the lifetime stats. But yeah, shout out to them, and I also appreciate you, Josh, for putting that together, because I'm neglecting most of my normal life, and then so some of this other stuff is getting neglected even harder. So I appreciate you taking care of that stuff.
Yeah, week 7, for those of you that listen, all 3, 2 of which aren't even in the league. Week 7 is going to be Bullseye, team closest to their projected point total. And so just to make sure that things are still on the up and up, it does show your projected total from everybody playing, and then your total. I should have cheated and changed it around. I was only like 1 point off for my total projection last week.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's going to be the week 7.
Nice. All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate you for doing that, and yeah, I'll send those guys their money eventually. And if you really want me to love you, you would maybe just send a little thing out into the group text every so often, but you don't have to do that if you don't want. But we will move on, Josh, to the NFL Player Exchange. I did have time today to update everyone's portfolio. There have been a minor amount of buys and sells, although I know when I'm not reminding people, they aren't thinking about it as much, so I will take some heat for that. But also a note to you, Al, I don't know if you saw it put in the Discord, but you were not able to sell Jeremy McNichols because you never bought him, because you tried to buy him on a Thursday. And the markets are only open on Tuesday and Wednesday, so just for your reference, he was never included into your portfolio. But I did jot you down for buying Amari Cooper. Speaking of,
I will buy Amari Cooper as well, or do I already have him bought?
Let me go look. You do not have Amari Cooper at the moment, so you're more than welcome to. I'll insert a row for you right here. There you go. But yeah. So transactions in the last couple weeks, there hasn't been much. It's mostly been Brian, or I think exclusively been Brian, who made moves in week 5. He sold Jamar Chase for 21.66. That was a nice sell. He sold Cordarrelle Patterson for 4.4, which was, I mean, he bought him for 0.8, so on a percentage-wise, that's a huge return for Brian. And he had bought Jamar Chase at 9.85 in week 2, so that was over doubling his money there as well. And then last week, Brian opted to buy Ray-Ray McCloud, Trevor Lawrence, and Xavier Hutchinson. So those were all the week 5 moves from Brian, and I don't have any other recorded week 5 moves. I had made a bunch of moves on low-end players in week 4. Most of them have appreciated, which is nice, but not 100% of them. So it is what it is. Evan Ingram, though, has really shot up, so that's nice for my portfolio. But then, Josh, you're buying Amari Cooper, and then Al just bought Amari Cooper. And Brian, did Brian make any moves this week yet? No, he did not, but I'm sure I'll hear from Brian. But to the leaderboard, the thing people care most about... oh shit, I need to fix this on the left side. Anyways, in first place, Josh, even though you haven't made any moves in the last 2 weeks, you are now in first place. A couple weeks ago, your portfolio value was 96.32. It has now appreciated to 121.63, so about a 25-point bump there. Again, you didn't make any buy or sell moves. Your cash is still the same at 30.16, but your total value is now in first place at 151.79. In second place is me. I have a total value of 141.4. My cash on hand is 47.15 ppg, and then my portfolio, luckily everyone's portfolio appreciated, so no one's going backwards. Obviously sometimes people buy, but everyone's portfolio has gone up from the past 2 weeks. That's another high note, but I have 141.4 my total value. In third place is Brian, the guy who's trying the hardest for sure. His portfolio, or his total value, is 135.86. He only has less than $20 on hand, but his portfolio value is 116.98. Al's in fourth place with a total value of 128.93. He has the least amount of cash on hand at 9.06, and then his portfolio is about 120. Brad is in fifth place. He is the most cash by far. His total value is 115.13, cash of about 72, and then portfolio value of about 43. and then Walters is in dead last. His total value is only 108.45. And if you recall, we all started with 100 PPG to play with, so Walters has only increased his overall value by 8.45 points per game. Currently in cash, he has 44, and in his portfolio, he has about 64 points of value. So Walters will really need to step up his game. I know he's left alive listening, so hopefully he listens back to this later. But Walters, you are slacking. Where you have created only 8.45 points of value, Josh has found 51.79. Dude, you got to get on it. And Josh hasn't even made moves in 2 weeks. So yeah, how do you feel, Josh, knowing you haven't made moves in a couple weeks? I'm sure you were surprised when you first looked at this to realize you're in first place currently. Or do you just know you're that good?
I mean, I figured. No, I guess, yeah, I was kind of surprised when I saw that. But yeah, trying to think here. I'm trying. Now I'm looking at moves that I should make. No, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I knew that Brian was gonna nickel and dime his way out of the lead at some point. Brad's probably gonna forget about the entire thing. Walters, he came in hot. Remember, he bought guys that were way up there in points per game. And so, yeah, it's just, he bought Amari Cooper when it was 11.77. Al and I waited for his value to dip enough. We bought that dip. And I just, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that Amari Cooper's remaining points per game for the remainder of the season as a Bill is going to be, 35.
I don't think so. I think he'll go down. I think I'm going to wait at least one more week to buy Amari Cooper. For sure, Amari Cooper, it was not going to go up in value this week. He's just joining the team. If he plays, it'll be a limited snap count. You guys are buying Amari Cooper too early, you fools.
Oh, no. I don't. There's already highlights of Amari Cooper catching passes from Josh Allen.
Are you going to buy Devontae Adams as well, or?
No, because Devontae is still, he's a different story. He's going to be up there. His value is a little bit too high right now. Now, maybe if he missed one more week, but we'll see.
Gotcha. And for what it's worth, just from a standings perspective, the bottom three were the same from last time, so 2 weeks ago. And I'll probably do this every other week because it is a lot of data entry unless I have a lot of time next week. But 4th, 5th, and 6th were all the same. Al, Brad, and Walters were the same. What changed in the top three was Brian fell from 1st to 3rd, and then Josh and I each just moved up a place. So Josh was 2nd 2 weeks ago, then he moved into 1st, and I was 3rd 2 weeks ago, and I moved it to 2nd. So not a whole lot of movement except for Brian. He didn't. His value did not appreciate as much as Josh or my eyes did. Jesus, that's a word for sure. But so yeah, we appreciate everyone who plays along with that, and it's fun. And I will send a reminder right now at Player Stalkers to get your buys and sells in. But yeah, Josh, you I don't know. You said there was a website that does this? Couple weeks ago,
there was. So I'd noticed like on Reddit that somebody had posted something like they made a game like this, but you had to like email them to get like signed up, and I was just like, yeah, it's way too much work.
Gotcha. Because yeah, I mean, if there's a solution like that for next year or whenever, that sounds like a much more better system than me doing this. But
oh, absolutely. No, I don't think it cost money. It was just something that he was doing for fun, but he needed to send out like a registration thing.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll look into that. Otherwise, if someone knows of a way for me to be able to, this would be super easy if I could just scrape the data from Sleeper somehow. Like if I could just go on at a point in time and dump all the PPG into a spreadsheet, then it would be super easy. I know Excel well enough to do some lookups or index or whatever I need to do. But as of right now, I'm just manually looking up one player at a time. But it's still a fun game.
You could.
I mean, yeah, I could, but I would also have to work out how to do that, Josh. I don't know if you know this, but I am lazy.
Well, how about I do you a favor, and when I'm working, I can work on finding that out.
Sure. Yeah, if you can find a way just to scrape the data from Sleeper, that'd be great. Because it would even be way better if it was on their desktop version of the app, but it's only, as to my knowledge, it's only on the phone, which sucks. So, all right. We're not even 30 minutes down, and that's pretty much the show, Josh, unless you got anything else. The Vikings were on a bye, so we don't have any Vikings news to talk about. We're undefeated. We're going to the Super Bowl. That's without question. We haven't talked about the Packers. Maybe just give your quick thoughts on the Packers, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, it's not a question of when they win the next Super Bowl. It's a question of how many times do they repeat after they win the next Super Bowl. Jordan Love is the greatest quarterback of all time, um, and so it's just no doubt in my mind. Obviously, obviously great game. Team looked good. Defense has been taking the ball away, like that bully at your elementary school and your lunch money. But it's been fun to watch. Some ups and downs. There's some times where I go, "What are you doing, sir?" And then it's just like, "Oh, all right, that worked." Crazy. He had a pass last week that made me go, "That was very Rodgers-esque," with just how he creeped it into the window. Um, but yeah, Gar, how'd the Vikings do this week? Oh wait, they didn't win.
Oh, okay. So I thought of two more questions, and you can answer them as quickly as you want. But just so we can have our thoughts on the airwaves in a somewhat topical time. One, what do you think about the NFC North being the most dominant division of football? Do you think that'll continue, or do you think that's just a fluke point in time thing?
I mean, it all trends, all signs point to it continuing. There is going to be at some point in the season where we're all beating up on each other, so that's going to be interesting.
We got the Lions on Sunday,
right?
So it'll start then.
Yeah, and we've already played, and so it's gonna, it might even out in that regard. But come the end of the season, it would be, I would not be surprised if 3 of the teams made the playoffs.
Hell yeah. And then I gotta ask you. I know you've even you have cooled on Rodgers in the past couple of years, but just maybe some quick hitter thoughts on what you think about the whole Jet situation. So obviously, it appears from the outside looking in. This is obviously just speculation. It appears from the outside looking in that Aaron Rodgers has kind of gone over there and somewhat taken over the organization. Maybe you could say that the owner and the GM were always going to back him, but they've been performing mediocre. I think it's fair to say. And then Robert Saleh, definitely acclaimed coach when they hired him, and he hasn't been the most successful coach, but he's also have a pretty tumultuous QB situation in his tenure as the Jets coach. But Robert Saleh gets fired, and then they immediately trade for Tay. How do we feel about what's happening in the Jets? Do you think Aaron Rodgers is really puppeteering these things? Do you think the Jets are just poorly run? Or do you think this is the right move? Do you think Saleh is holding back the team? Like, what are your thoughts on what's happening for the Jets?
I mean, Saleh hasn't had a good track record. Obviously, the quarterback situation stinks, but he's there to coach. And, just they came out slow. I think they had said, wasn't it like they hadn't scored at all in the first quarter all year?
I genuinely don't know.
That was a real stat. I don't know, but
I believe it.
I mean, yeah, that team is just, that doesn't sound like the right stat, but the team is just, in need of a change. I don't know if Rodgers is puppeteering everything. I don't believe that, I guess. But he's probably too high on ayahuasca to do that. But I do think that he definitely, some of the things, he didn't hug Robert Saleh, and that could have been the reason.
Aaron Rodgers famously has a bad relationship with his parents, and so if him and Robert Saleh aren't hugging, that's pretty much a death wish for Saleh, is it not?
Probably.
God damn, dude, poor Saleh. Did Saleh already get a job? Is he a consultant somewhere already, or is that Vrabel I'm thinking of, who was fired last year?
That's Vrabel. Saleh's probably a bouncer at the Chuck E. Cheese outside his local community.
Do you want, because of his connections with LaFleur, do you want Saleh to end up in Green Bay, or no? Do you feel like your defense is pretty well handled?
I mean, he could end up as we'd take him as a consultant, I'm sure. I do think that Hafley definitely has the boys flying around, generating some turnovers, so it's not like it's going to be, life or death situation. Rewind last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, and this were to happen, I'd say, offer this man half of Green Bay itself. Now, the value may not be as much as the contract he had in New York, but he'd still be able to, think of all the Culvers that you'd get in half of Green Bay.
That's a lot of cheese curds, brother.
Right?
All right.
Yeah, I have nothing else. I'm going to go get some vanilla ice cream with some puppy chow mixed in.
Don't you fucking tease me, dude. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, Nikita made some homemade puppy chow the other night, and I'm a big vanilla ice cream guy lately because I'm able to just toss whatever I want in there, whatever I'm feeling. Usually it's
a
chalky
blank
chips
canvas for you to create on,
Right. Yeah. Usually it's chalky chips and, like maybe 3 or 4 Chips Ahoy cookies crumbled up on top. I've done the Reese's because we'll buy like a pack of the Reese's, obviously, when it's like seasonal time. So I'll take like a few of those and toss in there and crunch them up. I've done trail mix. I've done a whole bunch of stuff. And now it's that puppy chow. Ooh, child.
I was just gonna ooh child with you. Oh, hell yeah. All right, well, Josh, thank you so much for being here. Alan, Walt, thank you so much for listening live. Brad, Brian, whoever else who listens later, we appreciate. And Nikita, obviously, number one secret fan almost, because she never really talks, but shout out Nikita.
Shout out Nikita for 12-0 as well.
Oh, is she? Nikita.
Yeah, she is the only undefeated team. She was going into the Monday night game needing Garrett Wilson and Greg Zerline to do work. Garrett Wilson did work. Greg Zerline did not. But that got her the win there. And so, yeah, she's 12-0.
Oh, that's fucking sweet. Let's go, Nikita, dude. I'll just be happy that I called it. I called Nikita before the season.
I mean, yeah. So proud of her. We're kind of living inverse fantasy seasons right now. But yeah.
Right now, I'm outside of the playoffs at 7-5. That's brutal. I have fallen from grace. Do I need to fix the playoffs? Is it still 8 or 7 playoff teams? Because that won't be good. I'll look at that later. Anyways, all right. Thank you so much again, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Josh, for being here. We will talk to you guys again next Tuesday or whenever we feel like it. And talk to you later. Josh, go ahead and say go Packers. Go
Packers. I think we should change it to all 12 teams make the playoffs.
When do they start? Week 10?
No. When does CMC come back?
Not soon enough, I believe, is the only correct answer there, my friend.
All right. It'll probably be when I play against you and deflate these balls again. And
now we're talking.
And so you'll get him back, and that'll be like right after, my entire team, goes out on an outing because, I take the boys to Dave and Buster's every Wednesday. And they,
You're just a good owner,
probably some major skee ball accident. Josh Allen was just dicking around, banked it off the thing, and it like hit him in the nuts. And just he's out for 6 to 10 weeks. Devontae goes over to check on him. Debo does at the same time, and Debo tries to spin, steps on a wet spot, crashes into Devontae's knee. He tears his ACL. It would just be a disaster. Yeah, so I might have to talk to the boys about going somewhere else. Maybe Fuddruckers.
You're a fucking lunatic, and I love you for it. All right, Josh, get the hell out of here. Goodbye.
All right, go Packers.
Oh, God, what does Al want? Yes,
Can you hear me?
You gonna do it well this time, or
don't
you just
drop it in the toilet?
Yeah.
Can you...
I can hear you.
Hey, Walters, suck my dick.
I'm glad I kept recording for that. That was worth it.
Go Packers.